radio today, and he ain't afraid to say what he's thinking. It's the Michael K. Show on 880 ESPN Radio.
And a good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show. We thank you for joining us here on a chilly Tuesday. It is January 20th, 2026. Me and you for two. Those are the rules of engagement, and it is the fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio. I want you to be a part of it. I really do. We've got so much to talk about. We'll start with the national championship game yesterday. So Indiana completes one of the great stories in sports, and I mean ever. You know, people are comparing it to the Miracle on Ice. Some are saying it's even a bigger deal than the Miracle on Ice. I don't know if I would say that, but this was totally unexpected. They'd never won a national title. They'd been the bottom feeders of the Big Ten, and they get a coach that knows how to work with the system. I saw a great line on social media earlier today, and if I remember who said it, I would give them credit, but I don't. So when it finally became legal for you to pay for players, Indiana took advantage of it, brought in a bunch of older players, and won. Which leads you to believe that Indiana never knew, ever, over these last hundreds or so odd years, that so many schools paid players under the table. I guess they did everything legally because they could never compete ever before NIL came into being. And Curt Cignetti came in there and worked the system and worked the legalities of the system, and here we are, a national championship team beating Miami, and it was a fun game. I don't think that either team played overly great, and I'm going to say something that a lot of people will jump me about, and I'm fine with it. Please, you could jump me if you'd like. He won the Heisman Trophy. He led a team to a 16-0 record. Fernando Mendoza, to me, does not send me over the moon. In the right system, is he going to be a good quarterback? He might be. Is he a great quarterback? No. To me, he's not a great quarterback. So Miami has a pretty stout defense, and they shut down Mendoza in the first half. And the biggest play that Mendoza made in the second half was with his feet. So you can see he's smart. He's really, really tough. But when you say the first pick in the draft, which he's going to be, because the team that has the first pick in the draft desperately needs a quarterback, I don't see surefire greatness. I don't see it. He seems like he's a nice player, but you take apart his game and you tell me, what does he do that is so amazing that you say, yeah, I could see him being compared to the Drake Mays and the Jaden Daniels of the world and so forth. I'm not seeing it. And I could be wrong. We'll talk to Paul Feinbaum about it about 2:10 today when he joins us. I'm not seeing that greatness that jumps off the screen at you. I'm seeing a really good quarterback, a nice quarterback, that if he lands in the right situation, the way Brock Purdy has landed in the right situation in San Francisco, he can do well, and he could win. Because when I look at Brock Purdy, I see the same thing I see when I see Fernando Mendoza. A nice player, fundamentally sound, but nothing that jumps off the screen at you. Nothing. And I could be wrong. This is just a layman telling you about what I'm seeing. There are some things that you see on screen, and you go, wow, that guy's special. And sometimes you're wrong. And sometimes you're wrong when you don't see anything that's special. But I guess we'll get back together in 10 years, and we'll talk about whether or not Fernando Mendoza lived up to the hype of a number one draft pick. And you can't give me, well, he won the Heisman Trophy. There are a lot of players that have won the Heisman Trophy that didn't turn out to be good pros. I mean, there's college systems, and now the college system is closer to the pro system than it's ever been. I'll give you that. It's much more of a throwing game. Used to be more of a running game. But I look at him and I go, okay, nice. But I don't look at him and go, okay, great. Again, could be wrong. Could be wrong. Time will tell. And I can't wait to talk to Paul Feinbaum about it. So as we're speaking, there's a big Mardi Gras atmosphere at 1925 Giant Way, which is where the Giant facility is located, is John Harbaugh officially announced as the head coach of the New York Giants. And, we elected not to run the entire press conference because a lot of that is self-aggrandizement or whatever. But what we did was we broke down exactly some of the things that jump out at us and some of the things that were said. And here's John Harbaugh talking about why New York is different.
What an honor. What an exciting moment. Walk in here and they say New York's a different kind of place, and I would say it's probably true, man. This is pretty amazing right here. This is incredible. And to see those players back there, see those guys smiling and ready to go to work, that gets me fired up too. So to everybody, just thank you very much.
I'll tell you what, sometimes when people talk, you could hear the smile, and you could hear the smile and the joy in his voice. And he said he wanted this job. And he wants the Giants to become champions.
One of the most iconic franchises in all of sports. I wanted this job. I think I told you that, Mr. Mayor. I wanted this job. I wanted this job. And to be on the biggest stage in the biggest sport. I know the challenges. I understand the expectations. I know the fans are hungry for a winner. We're here with one mission, to earn the right to be called the world champions in New York. And that's what we plan to do.
All right, now how does he plan to build this team?
Our focus is simple. It starts with building a team that is physical and tough, that's capable of overwhelming their opponent from beginning to end, and especially at the end, that understands how to finish, that is smart and disciplined, that plays the game the way it should be played, and that everybody watching it, including those playing it, will be proud of.
And how do you build a winning culture, and how long does it take, John?
The second part's impossible to say, but I'm planning on day one. So that's what we'll be shooting for. That's what we'll be working for, and fully expect it to happen. You build anything together. You build it from the inside out. It's going to be a reflection. Culture is kind of a crazy word. What does it really mean? It's a worldview. It's a shared understanding. It's a vision. It's everybody being on the same page. It's talking the same language, all these kind of things, same values, same type of beliefs, right? Okay, that's like a social studies class maybe we're talking here. So what is it in football? It's a bunch of guys that see the game the same way. It's a bunch of guys that want to play the game together the same way. It's a relentless brotherhood, having each other's back, being unwilling to give up because that guy next to you is unwilling to give up. All these things that these guys believe in. We'll decide what the culture looks like together every single day by what we do together, all right? And that's how you build it together.
All right, so Harbaugh was asked how much did the fact that the Giants have Jackson Dart factor into him taking the job?
Well, it's a great question because, the quarterback's kind of important. That's kind of a big deal. I'm excited about Jackson Dart. I've seen your backup quarterback, too, Jameis, up close and personal 2 years ago. So I saw him complete a bunch of passes. Yeah, I know. There you go. I saw you. Oh, my. Remember that game, right? It's a great game for you. So it starts with the quarterback for sure. The quarterback, you build your team around your quarterback. You build your team around your players and what they do well. I like the way he plays. I like his talent, skill set, all the things he's accomplished. But more than that, I like who he is and what he's about. And to me, he's about football. This young guy loves football. He wants to talk football all the time. And that's kind of what I like doing too. So I think we're going to have a lot of great conversations. And I can't wait to get started with him.
Now, if you've read Ian O'Connor's story in The Athletic yesterday, which, he spoke with Harbaugh. And by the way, Ian was in front of this the entire way. And you know who else was, on point too? Gary Myers, who does a show for us on Saturday here on ESPN New York. But Ian was on top of it. Obviously, he has a strong relationship with Harbaugh. And he broke down the courting period, and then when it was supposedly done, and they were working on contracts, and everybody said, don't worry. And you kind of started to worry in retrospect when you read Ian's story because it almost fell apart. And a lot of it had to do with reporting, where John Harbaugh wanted to report to Mara and Tish. He did not want to report to the GM, and the GM happens to be Joe Shane. So Harbaugh spoke about the Giant GM.
No question, Mike. Probably the conversations themselves is what led me to believe there would be great collaboration. Obviously, you get to know Joe, and we start talking ball, and you see he's a football man. This guy lives and breathes football. His knowledge is deep. He knows the league. He knows the coaches in the league. He knows the players in the league. Probably knows all the scouts in the league, too, I'll bet, He was impressive to me, and it was just really a joy to talk football and really dig into some of the plans that we might have going forward, see what we can build here. So I was impressed, very impressed.
And finally, what does he expect his relationship relationship with Shane to be?
Yeah, I expect it to be phenomenally great. I think it's going to be incredible. I really do. I mean, I already know because we've had a chance to start talking to each other, but you work with new people all the time. But, Joe's been around the National Football League for years and years. He's got a tremendous amount of experience. I'm going to be leaning on him, and he's going to be leaning on me. We're going to be leaning on everybody around us, right? And it's not just us. It's a whole organization. We're going up the chain. We've got incredible experience all the way up to the very top here, all right, in different areas. And John Mara, nobody knows more about this league, right? So we'll be working, whatever it might be. It's X's and O's, it's strategic planning, it's the draft, it's free agency, it's contracts, people all through the building that are just incredibly talented people. So the idea is let's work together. Let's work together every single day and let's build something great.
Now, he's saying all the right things, which is the thing, obviously, to say the day that you're appointed and it's official. But I think that this is a work in progress. They're going to see exactly how they work together. Because by reporting directly to Mara and Tisch, John Harbaugh has all the power. So how long is that going to be palatable to a guy like Joe Shane, who just had all the power with Brian Dable? So in order to bring in John Harbaugh, you had to take your ego, put it on the shelf, and take a lot of your power and give it to him. How long does that last? When does it become a push and shove thing? When do they disagree with something so strongly that they have an issue? We'll see how this relationship works. And it's going to be interesting with Harbaugh, too, because he has worked with DaCosta and before that Newsom, and those guys had the last word. Now, he might have had input. Those guys have the last word. But when you read Ian's story about the holdup on the contract, Harbaugh now has the last word. So Joe Shane obviously can be and have the title of GM. John Harbaugh is the head of football with the New York Giants. And if you listen to the guy talk and you compare it to some of the other first days that you had with other coaches or managers that were hired in New York, you could see why they needed him, why they needed an adult in the room. This guy presents himself in a strong manner, articulates his thoughts in a strong manner. Compare it to, Adam Gase's introductory press conference. Well, when the Jets hired him. We were there. We were at Florham Park that day, the afternoon show. We did the show there, and this guy was lost. His look was lost. And you said, wow, this guy's in over his head. Joe Judge's introduction, when he wore a suit that was 2 sizes too big. I'm sorry, that was Ben McAdoo. 2 sizes too big. And we all knew that that's not the look of the head coach of the New York Giants. Harbaugh has that. He has the resume. He has the pelts, as Bill Parcells would say. But it doesn't mean anything because you can win the press conference. If you watched Aaron Glenn when he got introduced as the Jets head coach, kind of won the press conference, said all the right things. A lot of rah-rah stuff. This isn't rah-rah stuff, though, that John Harbaugh gave you. He's a football man. He knows what he wants. He knows how to build culture. He helped build that in Baltimore. Did a great job there over 18 years. Was always in contention for the Super Bowl. Didn't always get it. Got it once. And that was early in his time there. And they just finally ran out of patience. But what they ran out of patience for in Baltimore, the Giants will take that over and over and over again when you realize how bad it's been since they last won the title in 2011. This guy's going to change things. You can hear it in his voice. You can see the way he presents himself. He's an adult in the room. It's why the Giants could not afford to go with another young and a rising coordinator. Just couldn't do it. It was not responsible to go that route. So I give them credit. They moved heaven and earth. They changed the way they do business. This is a mom and pop store. The Maras have owned the team in one way or another since 1925. They know how to do things one way. And they've done things one way. It's a family-oriented business. I don't think Harbaugh is going to do that. I think he appreciates the legacy of the Maras and the Tisches as well. And he's going to honor that, but they're going to do things in a modern way. The other guys that they hired did not have the oomph to make that kind of move. But since you wanted Harbaugh and you realize what he meant to get, well, the bottom line is you sit back and you go, I guess we do have to change. I guess we have to go about it in a different way. Our way's not working anymore. So when you go after John, you realize we've got to change. And they did. If they hired Stefanski, which would not have been a bad hire. If they hired Stefanski, things would have remained the same because he did not have the power to change them. Second job, I understand, and he won Coach of the Year twice with the Browns, but he's not thought of in the same exalted way as John Harbaugh, who could have called the shot, could have gotten more money from other places, could have. But he wanted to be with the Giants, but he wanted to be with the Giants his way. So they're going to redo the facility. They're going to look into the things that have been accepted as normal, and he's going to change them. He's going to take a wrecking ball of things, and the Giants need that wrecking ball. So do the Jets. But does Aaron Glenn have the resume to demand the wrecking ball at Florham Park? John Harbaugh does. So there you have it. A big day for the Giants. They wanted it. They did what they had to do to get it. They paid top dollar for it to happen, and now we'll see. You know, he's talked about, he really expects that he can make the playoffs this upcoming season. We shall see. We shall see. Now, what I really want to hit on today is the Knicks. Talk about changing coaches and things like that. And when it happened, we're not second-guessing here. We first guessed when it happened. When Jim Dolan and company decided to remove Tom Thibodeau from the equation, there was only one thing that could happen. They could get to the NBA Finals, or it's going to be looked at as a failure. And at the beginning of the year, Mike Brown had it going on. Team looked great. Last 11 games, team doesn't look great. Team looks like a team that doesn't care. I mean, we talk about effort. Effort is the one thing that you can control. You can't control outcome. You can always control effort. Like you can control running to first base hard. You can't control the ball dropping in the green grass and you get a base hit. Can't control that. But effort you can control. And the Knicks' effort lately has been lacking. Their intensity has been lacking. To the point that it's an embarrassment. What happened yesterday at Madison Square Garden, where they got waxed by a Dallas Maverick team whose injury list is so extensive and so long that it's inconceivable that they lost that game, the Knicks. The Knicks were whole. They had back Brunson. They had back Hart. Everybody was healthy. Everybody played. And most everybody except for Mitchell Robinson played poorly. And there's a shot of Jalen Brunson on the bench during a timeout trying to exhort his team to play better, to play harder. And they didn't listen to the captain. And the thing that's scary to me, they're not listening to Brown. Players complain when there's a taskmaster that runs things. And Tom Thibodeau is a humorless taskmaster. He doesn't listen about innings limit, minutes limit, any of that. We're playing to win this game today, and I expect great effort out of you. And you know what? Every single game last year, for the most part, the Knicks gave great effort. He tapped into that. He tapped into the urgency of every single win and every single game and making them know how important it was to win those games. There's something off with the Knicks right now. Now, I believe that there was a player or two when Jim Dolan had those quote-unquote exit interviews that said, I can't play for Thibodeau. Because some players aren't built that way. Some players are not built to have the pedal to the metal all the time. And I think that less and less, fewer and fewer players are built that way. Because they've been coddled their whole life. They have not been told, you must do this and you must do it my way. They've always been the best. Even the worst player on an NBA team has probably been the best player in his town growing up, for his high school, or wherever they came from. Players do not like to be coached hard anymore. They don't. They want to be told how great they are. They want to be loved. They want to be listened to. And that's why a player or two probably told Jim Dolan, I can't play for this guy. And what Jim Dolan probably should have done was say, you play for who I have as the coach. We pay you a lot of money, you play. But instead, he made the change because you hear different things. Jim Dolan didn't like Thibodeau, didn't like that face as the face of his franchise. Well, right now, Mike Brown, his team is spiraling. They're not the first seed in the East. They're not the second team in the East. And before you look up, as they continue to lose, they might be even the fourth team in the East. They just might not. There's something broken there. What it is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's broken. Karl Anthony Towns looks discombobulated. He's the one guy that Brown seems to call out publicly. He doesn't play good defense. He's always complaining with officials. Mikal Bridges doesn't get to the foul line, which means that he's never driving to the basket. Clyde Frazier gave an unbelievable stat yesterday. He averages 2 free throws a game throughout his career. He's never been that guy. Never been that guy. So you watch this Knicks team, and I'm sorry. I watched that whole game yesterday, right up until the national championship game began. And it's embarrassing the way they're playing. The way they used to play and the way they're playing now is an utter embarrassment. There's something wrong. And people smarter than me have to figure it out. I know you gave Mike Brown a 4-year contract, but are things that dire that they might get rid of him? You know what would be hilarious is if Jim Dolan played the okie dokie and became 1980s George Steinbrenner and brings Thibodeau back. But I don't think that would happen. And I'm not saying that Thibodeau was the be-all, end-all. But I said this when the change happened. This is nothing against Mike Brown. If you're going to make a ridiculous move like that, when a coach brings you as far as you've gone in a couple of decades, and you decide, no, we need more to get over the top, you darn well better get over the top. Because if you don't get over the top, that was a dumb move. If you don't get to at least the Eastern Conference Finals, you're going to be looked at as a stooge for messing. Why'd you mess with something that worked? Why wasn't Thibodeau allowed to finish the job? And for a while there, it looked like Brown had all the answers. Players seemed like they enjoyed playing for him because he's a player's coach. They love the freedom. They love the freedom. Every day is not Armageddon like it was with Tom Thibodeau. But then cracks start to show. But then you could see the limitations on a coach that lets you do what you want to do and gives you that freedom and treats you like men. Sometimes you have to be treated like children because sometimes you're not a self-starter. Sometimes you don't actually do the right thing and prepare for the game in the right way. Again, something's broken. We're going to talk to Fred Katz of The Athletic when we get back and find out what he thinks is broken. But before we break, I'm intrigued. I always am because you've heard this guy for years call in. He loves his basketball. He sees things. He knows what he's seeing. And I want to check out with Spike in St. Pete. What do you think is wrong, Spike? What are you watching out there?
Well, I feel like I'm watching the demise of the Hindenburg here, and I'm not trying to be funny. I look forward to what Fred has to say. You know, I'm very fortunate, guys like you give me a platform, but I spoke to my best friend, as I do every game, for 60 years after every Knicks game. It's a treasure. And he played ball at a high level. He says Mike Brown, as you said, was the wrong coach. He wasn't the first choice.
He was the 8th choice, Spike. He was the 8th choice.
Michael, 8th or 7th or 6th. I'm telling my wife, I'm going through some stuff. I'm telling my wife, Michael's so smart. Here, everyone else is going to be talking about the Giant coach, and I listen to some of them. I'm not a big football guy. He sounded perfect. Perfect.
Yep.
I felt good for John Mara. I did. John Mara, I've met him. I'm sure you've met him a number of times. Classy as they come.
Yep.
What when you said, would he do the okie doke? I'm mouthing Thibodeau. I know we're on the same page. Now, that gets us not one win. Why Mike Brown is hanging out to the low-hanging fruit with Katz bothers me. I've always said, and I brought up Ty Butler, who's a genius at his age. He always called Katz a great offensive player, and he calls him a traffic cone on defense. At least Brunson tries. It's affected this. Mikal Bridges, who improved his three-point shot, his analytics dropped 50% this year. You see it on the court. He's long and lean, and he gets a heavier guy. He shies away from the contact. They only gave up 5 draft picks. He's useful. OG Anunoby's shooting is effective because he has to catch up and play such defense. This has been embarrassing. As bad as it was yesterday, I said before the game, it was a 5 o'clock game. I said, look, Dallas has been 14-13 in the last 27 games. And they've been without Gafford and P.J. Washington. Technical stuff you understand exactly. The Knicks are going to have no cakewalk here. Those wings are athletic wings. We're going to drive them into the ground. They and plain old English got their asses kicked yesterday on a Martin Luther King Day. The Phoenix back-to-back beatdowns by a team that's reset themselves. Another Kevin Durant exit. Look, the Knicks have looked like they've given up. And Katz is the main culprit, but there are other victims here. You can't knock Bruce McBride's performance. Mitchell Robinson has played twice as many games this year as he did last year. He's been brilliant to me. I know you watch basketball like I do. You always revert to that. Mitchell Robinson is the best help defender in the league, the best offensive rebounder. I said, wouldn't it be nice if he could play 28 minutes a game and Katz could play 20? Well, you can't play a guy making $53 million a year 20 minutes. And the Katz going to quit. Why is the coach picking on him? You tell me why. You went through Billy Martin all those times. You told the story publicly that he took you in under his wing. Why are they picking on Katz?
Well, the only thing I could think of, Spike, is that they're greasing the skids and they want to make it easier to trade him. And we'll talk to Fred Katz of The Athletic about this. Giannis gave an interview yesterday where he didn't shut down the fact that he's going to eventually want to get out of Milwaukee. Because that's the play for the Knicks. They know that Giannis wants to play here. And can they build a deal around Cat, maybe make it a 3-way deal? They don't have the draft capital because of what they did with the draft capital to get Mikal Bridges. So they're going to get very creative. And I believe in Leon Rose to get very creative. But it's not just Cat. Because they had Cat last year, and they went to the 6th game of the Eastern Conference Finals. They essentially had the same team. And also Mike Brown also falls in and out of love with his guys on the bench. Tyler Kolek has become a ghost now. Doesn't even play. Played in garbage time yesterday when the game was over. So settle in. We're going to talk to Paul Feinbaum in the 2 o'clock hour about what transpired yesterday in Miami. And we'll talk to Fred Katz of The Athletic. We'll try to find out exactly what is wrong with this New York Knicks team. 2 hours. Stick with it. 1-800-919-3776 right here on ESPN New York.
St. John's goes for 5 in a row against Big East rival Seton Hall at MSG. Coverage begins tonight at 6:40 on 1050 ESPN and the ESPN New York app.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. That's ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN. ZipRecruiter.com/ESPN.
ZipRecruiter.
FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the championship round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means more ways to level up your playoff bets. Pick the matchups you believe in, take your shot on an upset, or build a parlay that fits the moment. Hey, the Patriots are traveling to Denver, and the Rams are traveling to Seattle. What's your feel? Then apply your profit boost and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. So visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Caught with a gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Health surprises can change your life in an instant. You've seen it happen to others, but it doesn't have to be your story. At Princeton Longevity Center, we customize actionable and proactive health plans to maximize your lifespan and take control of your health. Our Cancer Check program combines cutting-edge technology with top medical expertise to keep you ahead of potential risks. With advanced full-body imaging, genetic testing, and multi-cancer detection blood tests, we look for even the earliest signs of problems. Results are analyzed by expert physicians who craft a personalized plan to safeguard your future. You're not just a patient, you're a partner in your health journey, backed by a team committed to helping you live longer, healthier, and more vibrantly. Our programs have saved hundreds of lives and empowered countless others to take control of their health. Be proactive with your health for the ultimate peace of mind. Call 888-8000-PLC or visit PrincetonLongevityCenter.com.
Hey fans! Welcome back to Fansville's Cheers and Tears. Oh. Okay, so like everybody deals with losing, right? To a rival on a last-second field goal. Whatever, it's fine. I'm totally fine. But I cope with losing with an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Those 23 flavors are like so delicious. They totally wash away the pain of your college football team taking a big fat L. College football, it's a pepper thing.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband Ryan died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ETHOS.com/game.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Michael K. with you until 3. At that time, Don Hahn and Rosenberg, 1:33 here in New York City, and we get to talk to one of our favorite guests. He knows basketball. He's the one of the head NBA guys at The Athletic, and that is Fred Katz, who certainly is very familiar with what's happening with the Knicks and what has happened with the Knicks over the last couple of years. And Fred joins us now. Fred, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again, Michael.
All right, I'll give you a very broad question. What is going on at Madison Square Garden? And I don't mean about the Rangers.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Won 2 out of their last 11, and it's not just that they're losing, it's how they're losing, right? I mean, they go to Sacramento after 2 days off, and they just get absolutely waxed by the Kings, who are, you know, one of the most decrepit teams in the league. And then last night they welcome in Dallas, which is not a winning team to begin with, has a ridiculously long injury report coming in. They've got all their guys healthy, and they just come out with no energy whatsoever, fall down 30. And what stands out so much about this isn't the losing, it's how they're losing. It's that since December 16th, they're 29th in points allowed per possession. Like, that's 18 games. That's not a small number of games. That's a quarter of the season, essentially. And they are 29th in points allowed per possession. Only Utah is worse, and Utah is actively trying to lose as many games possible so it can get better draft positions. So, like, this is a team that has real problems, and they have aspirations of winning the title, and right now they just don't look anywhere close to that level.
So, I mean, the one thing there's a couple of things that stand out to me. I want to get your take on it as well. The one guy that seems to be the punching bag is Cat. I mean, Brown goes after him publicly, and I'm wondering why, because in this day and age, that's not what coaches do. They usually do this stuff behind the scenes. He's very clearly pointed out the things that Cat doesn't do, arguing with the officials too much, the defense and things like that. Why is he going after him? Is he greasing the skids for a trade?
I think there are probably it's probably twofold. It's probably a little bit of both of them, and I'm not going to proportion blame. But what I'm going to say is I think there have been issues with that relationship from the beginning of Brown's time there. Since Brown became a head coach years and years ago, he was a head coach of, LeBron's Cavaliers, the first version of the Cavaliers before he went to Miami. He was a head coach in LA. He was a head coach with Sacramento, obviously. He's been notorious for just being really honest and sometimes just dead critical about his star players during press conferences. I think he's just very honest publicly, and it's what he believes in, and it's how he believes on handling his business. And there are some guys who have been able to take that over the years, and there's some guys who have liked it and enjoyed it because they're competitive and they like hearing that kind of stuff. And then there are some guys where it gets on their nerves and it rubs them the wrong way. And we kind of saw that happen with some guys in Sacramento too. And it was part of what kind of led to his demise in Sacramento. A lot of people thought that firing was premature and unnecessary when it happened, but that was part of the logic at the time. And I think what we're seeing is a relationship that got off to a rocky start. Brown is being critical of Cat about, look, they're valid criticisms. He criticizes him for his offensive fouls a lot, for example. Well, Cat leads the league in offensive fouls by a lot. He criticizes him for his defense. Well, Cat's an offensive slanted player, He's also an All-NBA talent who was on All-NBA as recently as last year. And you're right. We don't see coaches make that kind of stuff publicly. That being said, I think part of the reason that it's happening is also because we're not necessarily seeing improvement in those sorts of things on Cat. And we're seeing Cat kind of turn off throughout the course of the year, right? I mean, the situation, I think, started a little bit uncomfortable, and it's probably progressively gotten worse as the year has gone on, which is not a great sign for the Knicks when you've got, one of the best centers in the league and the head coach in their first year working together, not on the same page, but just kind of speaking different languages and getting to a point where it's like it is actively not a good relationship right now. It's a problem. Like your job as a coach is to get the most out of the player, and your job as a player is to listen to the words and not necessarily the tone. And so I think both of them kind of need to figure out how to make this work if they want to get their season back on track.
Fred Katz of The Athletic is our guest here on the Michael Kay Show. I tell this story a lot. So it goes back to when I was a student at Fordham at the radio station and the student newspaper, and the head coach of the basketball team was Tom Penders. And he would give me these little nuggets of wisdom, and he'd say, one thing that you'll never hear me say, ever, is that my team didn't play hard. He said, because that's a reflection on me. That's the job I have to do, is get my team ready to play all the time. What startled me yesterday and of late with the Knicks is that they don't seem like they play hard. They don't seem as if there's energy or devotion to winning the game. And I think that might be a reflection on Mike Brown. He's not getting them to play hard. And it's not just Cat, Fred. It's everybody. They look dead. They look like they're not even trying. And I'm not saying this out of my ear. They're saying it after games. They wanted it more than we did. They played harder than we did. That's unacceptable. The one thing that you can control is effort. So, I mean, what does Brown do to fix this?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is the big difference between college and the pros is that in the pros, I don't think coaches necessarily look at effort as part of their job as much as they do in college. Like in the pros, I think professionals are expected to come and give the requisite effort to do the job. And that's not just playing hard for those 48 minutes. That's locking in during shoot-around. That's knowing the other team's personnel. That's reading the scouting report. It's knowing the game plan, all that kind of stuff. What stood out to me last night was Jalen Brunson saying they weren't executing a game plan. They just and it's true. That's been a huge issue for them all year, where they're supposed to be running something and they end up running something else, or they're supposed to be running a certain coverage and they end up not executing it the right way. I don't know where blame should go on that, to be honest, and it might be kind of a cop-out answer, but like ultimately, I kind of think that kind of stuff falls on the players. These aren't rookies and second-year guys and third-year guys. These are veterans who were playing in the Eastern Conference Finals like months ago. You know, they're supposed to, independent of what is going on between the center and the head coach, they're supposed to be able to come out and be able to execute on a high level. This team obviously has schematic issues and it has roster issues that we can talk about. You know, they could use a second ball handler. They could use, you know, a healthier Mitchell Robinson. They could maybe use a wing off the bench. There are a lot of things that they could use from a basketball perspective, but the reality is, like, it doesn't even seem like that should be part of the conversation right now, because ultimately this team should have enough to, at the very least, look like it's one of the teams in the East, which is the way weaker conference. I watched that Boston-Detroit game last night, and right now Detroit is number 1 in the East and Boston is number 2. And that was a great game. That was two teams who looked like they were 1 and 2 in the conference, who looked like they knew they were 1 and 2 in the conference, going against each other in a nationally televised game. They played hard as heck. They were really physical. It was contentious to begin with, and it ended up being a 1-point game in what was just a very well-played, incredibly entertaining basketball game. And I watched that game right after the Knicks game, and I was like, these teams aren't even on the same level right now. Mm-hmm. You're right that the effort is a huge problem. I tend to think that when, like, at the professional level, if you've got guys who are veterans, who have been there before, who are Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and everybody else, and the issue is you're not preparing right, or you're not prepared well enough by the coach, that's one thing. But if you're just not trying, you're not going out there with energy, then like something, well, there's a deeper seated issue there.
I understand what you're saying, that it's the responsibility of professional athletes, but I would push back in this way, Fred. I didn't see lack of effort last year. I see lack of effort this year. So maybe they didn't love playing for Thibodeau, but they knew they better play hard for Thibodeau because every game was Armageddon for him. And maybe that ultimately led to his demise, which leads me to the big question that's out there. This is a generation that grew up under George Steinbrenner, who got rid of managers in a hurry, and that's why there's such a fury that, you know, Aaron Boone's entering his ninth year and has never won a championship. Would Dolan do something like that and say, I mean, Dolan left his seat at halftime and then never came back. That doesn't happen. He usually shows up about, 5 minutes into the third quarter from wherever he goes. He never came back. So obviously he's unhappy. Would he make a change?
The answer to that question is I couldn't say for sure either way. And the fact that I couldn't say for sure either way is pretty crazy, because the Knicks made it very clear when they moved on from Tom Thibodeau in June. They made it very clear. They made the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they put out a statement. Leon Rose put out a statement saying that they are solely focused on winning a championship, and they made this decision because of that, because they were in pursuit of a championship. The implication that Tibbs was preventing them from winning a championship. James Dolan goes on the radio like 2 weeks ago on WFAN and says that I wouldn't say that you can't win a championship with Tom Thibodeau, and says that if I had a rebuilding team, I would consider hiring him a gold mine, but not if I want to win a championship. That was 2 weeks ago. It feels like 2 decades ago, doesn't it? I think that would be a wild, wild move to pull. But the reality is it's really hard to change the roster in the NBA. And if you come to the conclusion that these players are not responding to the coach, and the reason they're playing like this is because of the coach, And the reason they're playing like this is because Mike Brown and Kat have this thing that has now persisted. And you've seen this, I'm sure, in your time in sports. Like, sometimes it could just be two guys, but that relationship and that contentiousness can just like seep into everything else you're doing at the office. You know what you mean? You know what I mean? And guys kind of just sort of dread coming into the office, and then it just kind of ruins the whole rest of the team. It just spreads. And that can happen. I've seen it happen. I've covered teams where that has happened, and I've seen it from afar where that has happened. So I can't rule it out. I think it's got to be on the table, because the reality is James Dolan said on the radio two weeks ago, not only that they can win a title, but they should win the title. That's what he said. And the reality is they are going to try to do everything they can to win the title, because when your owner says that, everybody in the organization, their ears perk up and they say, oh man, if he thinks we should win the title, we better make some noise here. If they continue to slide like this, we'll see what happens.
I'll tell you one thing, Fred. Since he did that interview, both teams have gone in the tank. The Rangers have sent out another letter, and the Knicks just don't win, so it's odd. So before I let you go, Antetokounmpo had an interview yesterday after the game. Again, was not committal to staying with the Bucks. Said he likes being the villain. He said he's sorry if he's holding up the trade deadline, but he just goes day to day. Is there a possibility the Knicks could make that trade? Because when he first became available, that's in quotes, I said, I don't know if you break this up because they were playing so well. Now it looks like something seismic has to happen to snap them out of this. Is there a possibility the Knicks could get Antetokounmpo before the trade deadline at the beginning of February?
I would put the chances at slim to none, but not because of anything having to do with the Knicks. I just don't think the Knicks really have much of an enticing package to offer the Bucks. The reality is, in season, it's a lot more difficult to do with the NBA's cap rules. It's a lot easier to do in the off season. The Knicks will have more picks available to offer then. And then if the reality is, if they do it now, it's like kind of got to be Cat and a first round swap, and maybe throw in Deuce McBride. And we're talking about for a two-time MVP who's in his prime and having arguably his best season ever. And Cat's trade value right now is as low as it's been since I can remember. He's having his worst season really since he became a great player. His percentages are down, his efficiency is down, his energy is down. I mean, we just talked about all of it. And so I just don't see the Bucks making a deal like that. I don't see the Bucks making a deal for Anunoby and Bridges if they figure something out like that, just because like the Bucks are trading Giannis, they're going to want picks. And I still think the most likely scenario with Giannis, if and when that trade comes, is that it comes in the offseason, because it's a lot easier for them to make a deal just in general. It's really hard for the Knicks to conjure up enough. I think the only way the Knicks end up with Giannis is if Giannis puts his thumb on the scale, says, I only want to go to New York, and the Bucks just oblige. They're like, you've been great to us. You're a legend. We'll do right by you and send you where you want to go and just get the best package possible. And I kind of think that's the only way that it could possibly end up happening.
I will tell you this, with Fred Katz of The Athletic here on the Michael K. Show. If they don't at least get to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Dolan, Rose, they all have egg on their face getting rid of Thibodeau. And I'm not making Thibodeau out to be, the combination of Red Auerbach and Pat Riley. I'm not saying that. But it was working. It was working to the point that they got really close, and that was a really good Indiana team. We look at it now, and they're terrible, but that was a good team that they lost to. If they don't get that far again, I mean, what was the move for, Fred? They look like idiots for making the move if they don't get that far or farther.
I mean, I'll speak your language. At the time, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Buck Showalter move to Joe Torre.
Right.
Where Buck Showalter was this sort of like a little bit of a no-nonsense, incredibly smart baseball mind, never played in the majors, but like knew his stuff more than anybody else, ultra-prepared sort of manager that finally got the Yankees back into the playoffs for the first time in, 14 years in 1995, right? And then in 1990, then they get rid of him after that year. Joe Torre comes in. There's the Clueless Joe headlines. And Joe Torre had a million different stops before and never won it a really high level. And that's kind of what Mike Brown is in this case, right? He was in Cleveland twice. He was in LA. He was in Sacramento. He was an assistant in Golden State for 6 years. But he had never won as a head coach at a high level. And this was the guy who was kind of supposed to vault them to that next level. And, so far, it doesn't look like the 96 Yankees, I'll tell you that.
No. Good stuff. Thank you for taking time, Fred. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael.
You got it. Fred Katz, read him in The Athletic. I'll tell you what, when you watch the Knicks, you're befuddled. I mean, what's the difference between this team and last year's team? What's the difference talent-wise, I mean? The biggest difference is the coach. And when they got off to the great start, you said, you know what, maybe they made the right move. But now they can't get out of their own way, and they're not playing hard. And that's an indictment of the coach to me. Whether or not they're professionals or not, you still have to light the fire for them to come out and play. And they're not playing hard. That's not me making that judgment watching them. That's them saying it. They wanted it more than we did. They played harder than we did. Well, unacceptable. And the coach has to stop that. Some way he has to stop that. Talk to you. 1-800-919-3776. It's the K-Show till 3 right here on ESPN New York.
Tuesday with Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. What is wrong with the Knicks, and can it be solved with the roster they have?
I believe in everybody in that locker room. You can ask them, but I feel they believe in each other too. We're going through it. We got to figure out how to get out of it.
As a team, we know what we have to do. We do it, we care enough to do it, or we don't.
In reaction to John Harbaugh's introductory press conference, Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg today at 3 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Not all F words are bad. Some are actually great, like fast, free fiber for 4 months. Yep, switch to Optimum Fiber for as low as $25 a month. Plus, for a limited time, you can get 4 months free, HBO Max included for 1 year, and a 5-year price lock. Don't wait, this free fiber deal won't last long, and the fastest, most reliable, most consistent internet speeds await you. Call 888-4-OPTIMUM or visit Optimum.com/free today. Terms apply. See Optimum.com for details.
More people trust their hearts to New York Presbyterian than any other hospital in New York. It's because New York Presbyterian has the most experienced cardiovascular doctors, treating a full range of heart conditions, from heart failure to valve repair, with the most advanced treatments. Find a doctor at nyp.org/heart. New York Presbyterian. New York Presbyterian Hospital, based on U.S. News & World Report 2025 to 2026 cardiology, heart, and vascular surgery rankings.
Murray to the net. Score! The New York Islanders are back in action with a brand new theme night schedule you won't want to miss. Bring your friends out for the holidays and take home a custom holiday replica jersey, or arrive early for special bobblehead giveaway nights for Matt Barzell and Bo Horvat. Barzell for Horvat, score! Explore the full theme night schedule at NewYorkIslanders.com.
Hi, this is John D'Agostino from D'Agostino & Associates, the injury firm. I've talked about how a construction accident took my father's leg. The heavy prosthetic he wore looked nothing like the high-tech limbs we have today. It was crude wood and metal, held together by bolts that dug into his skin and left painful ulcers. But the thing I remember about my dad is how he never complained. He put on his prosthetic leg and he went to work. He coached my baseball teams, danced, sang karaoke, and even loved to travel. He may have limped, but he always held his head up high and he lived with dignity. At D'Agostino & Associates, I spent over 35 years building a law firm that helps accident victims and those in need of their Social Security disability benefits. We fight till our clients get the money and dignity they deserve. So call us today at 1-800-BITE-BACK. That's 1-800-248-3222. We have offices throughout New York and New Jersey. So don't tell me personal injuries aren't personal. I know what they can cost a family. I've been there, and I'll be there for you. D'Agostino Law. Bite back.
Hey, hockey fans. Now with BetMGM, you can win a share of $10,000 in bonus bets when your anytime goal scorer nets 3. Enter BetMGM's Hat Trick Jackpot all season long for your chance to win some major bonus bets. It's easy. Just log in and opt into the promotion. Then make an anytime scorer bet on any hockey game of at least $10. If your player of choice scores 3 goals instead of just 1, you'll win your share of the $10K in bonus bets. There's nothing quite like watching a game with a hat trick, especially when it means you could win a share of $10,000 in bonus bets. Ready to shoot your shot? Download the app today. BetMGM. Make it legendary.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. New Jersey only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are bonus bets that expire in 7 days.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen for Pella Windows and Doors. Sometimes teams take a time out to regroup and call the right play. When it comes to your home, Pella Windows and Doors always has the winning game plan. They do it every day, and that's why your neighbors trust them. Visit Pella.com/Eisen today. Right now, Pella Windows and Doors of New Jersey is offering buy one, get one 50% off and every day 0% financing. Some restrictions may apply. See store for details. Offer ends January 31st, 2026.
Step inside the game you love with the NBA app. Tap to watch every game as it's happening.
Brunson does it again!
And never miss a moment of the jaw-dropping action. Get closer to the players than anywhere else. Follow the latest schedules, scores, and stats. Keep up with every story from across the league. And with NBA ID, it's all personalized to you. The game lives here. Download today.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Game Time is brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. 7 p.m., the St. John's Red Storm hosts the Seton Hall Pirates at Madison Square Garden. Should be a good game. Seton Hall's had a very good year. Coverage begins at 6:40 p.m. on 1050 ESPN. 10 p.m., the Rangers are in L.A. to play the Kings. Coverage begins at 9:30 p.m. right here on ESPN New York. Also at 10 p.m., the Devils are in Edmonton to play the Oilers, and Don LaGreca will be on the call. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew. Try the new Tullamore Dew Honey during today's action. Glass up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. Talking the Knicks and their pathetic effort yesterday. Eric in Long Island. Eric.
Good afternoon, Michael. Thank you very much for taking my call. I thoroughly enjoy your show, and I have tremendous respect for you.
Thank you.
With respect to the Knicks, I did play basketball collegiately, but that was many moons ago, and I don't hold myself out to be an authority by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that part of the problem with the Knicks, and it may really be the core of the problem, is not only the chemical imbalance or the personality conflict between Kat and Mike Brown, but I truly believe, as great as he is, and I think that Jalen Brunson is far better than the Dallas Mavericks thought when they traded him, and even that the New York Knicks thought when they acquired him. But I think as great as he is, he's too much of the offense. The offense has to go through him or it doesn't click. And when he doesn't play, it's rare, if ever, that they score well. And when he does play, unfortunately, they don't move the ball as much as they should. So if he's on, fabulous, and he scores his 30 or sometimes more points. But if he's not exactly on, others are sort of, left out in the cold. And I really think that to a large degree, that's part of the problem. I don't know what the solution is. And I think it's compounded by the fact that his father is an assistant coach. His father has a little bit of an attitude. So if you don't get along with the father, you're not going to get along with the son. And that sort of comes through as you sit by on the court side, as we do. But the long and the short of it is I really don't know what the solution is, because Brunson is truly an all-star, and he's a quality player and a quality person. But I don't know how you change the chemistry other than perhaps trading Kat.
Well, I think it's funny, Eric. Nobody said a bad word about Brunson for all these years. And I also said that when Brunson decided to leave a lot of money on the table for the good of the team, and everybody said, well, he'll make it up when he re-signs. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen, or that the people that are in charge now will be in charge then. There's no guarantee. I think what they need is they need a more dedicated second scorer who also could be the first scorer at time. They thought it was going to be Kat. It has not been Kat to a consistent level. It could be an Antetokounmpo. They need a stronger second option that could also be a first option. The whole thing was last year the ball stuck when it got to Jalen Brunson. and they were going to give it, more of a socialistic offense where everything moved around, everybody got a piece. It started that way, and it's still predicated everything on Brunson. And they got to work something out. And another thing that, although he tries, Brunson is not a great defender, and you couple that with the fact that Katz an awful defender, you got 2 out of the 5 that are bad defenders, leading it up to the other 3 guys to cover for them. And sometimes that becomes something that people get upset at. The other people, well, why do we have to cover for them? It's a very interesting dichotomy with the Knicks right now. There's the same group that went to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. They decided to change things, change the way they play, go deeper on the bench, and at this point, it's not working. At this point, team's embarrassing. Losing 9 out of 11, and then losing to a Maverick team that really, if you looked at the people that were hurt, they shouldn't even have fielded a team yesterday at Madison Square Garden, and they embarrassed the Knicks on their home court. That is unacceptable. We're going to talk to Paul Feinbaum in just a moment. Talk some baseball a little bit as well in the second hour. So stay right here. It's the K Show on ESPN New York.
St. John's goes for 5 in a row against Big East rival Seton Hall at MSG. Coverage begins tonight at 6:40 on 1050 ESPN and the ESPN New York app.
Hey, this is Mika Zibanejad.
Hey, this is Adam Fox. Catch every Rangers game right here on 880 ESPN.
WHSQ and WCBS-FM HD2, New York.
Knicks fans, it's time for basketball, and the action starts on Wednesday at Crompton Ale House with Team ESPN New York and Ultra. Whether you need a pregame spot or you're looking for the right Knicks bar to watch the game versus the Nets, Crompton Ale House is your destination. The party tips off at 7 p.m., and Team ESPN will be giving away ESPN, Ultra, and Knicks prizes. Join fellow Knicks fans on Wednesday at 159 West 26th Street. Cheer on your Knicks, enjoy Ultra draft and bottle specials, and cool prizes all game long at Crompton Ale House.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS.
1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Hey, New York and New Jersey, Boost Mobile has an unlimited talk, text, and data plan that's only $25 a month forever, meaning you'll only ever pay $25 a month for the rest of your life. Who wouldn't want unlimited wireless when it only costs $25 a month forever? If you don't, you must be one of those people who enjoy overpaying for their phone plan. $25 a month forever is truly as good as it gets, so go online and switch now at boostmobile.com. After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the championship round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means more ways to level up your playoff bets. You can pick the matchups you believe in, take your shot on an upset, or build a parlay that fits the moment. Whatever you like, bet it. Only on FanDuel. Then apply your profit boosts and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. Each game day during the championship round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. So visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Must be 21 and older and physically present in New York. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions do apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467369.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Rich Eisen here. As you all know, I care deeply about pediatric cancer research and awareness. That's why I'm proud to talk about Hyundai Hope on Wheels. For over 27 years, every Hyundai sold has helped fund life-saving pediatric cancer research. Together with over 850 dealers nationwide, they've raised more than $277 million, supporting over 25,000 kids in their fight against cancer. At Hyundai, hope isn't optional. It comes standard. Visit HyundaiUSA.com and search Hyundai Hope on Wheels to learn more.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry!
Keep awkwardly chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it. Woo! Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Benjamin Franklin, sir, I've just received news.
Speak.
They're multiplying you.
Multiplying me?
Yes, many times.
Multiple Benjamins?
Shall I stop it?
No.
Multiply your Benjamins with New York Lottery's Extra Multiplier Scratch-Off games. Play for the chance to multiply your winnings up to 100 times. Prizes up to $3 million.
I've won! I've multiplied myself!
We won! Please play responsibly. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
I keep making the same mistake over and over again. Don is in the building tonight in Edmonton, but he's not on the call because the Devils and the Oilers, it is a TNT game. So Don's in the building, but not on the call. But he will be on Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg, which comes up at 3. So if you were watching the broadcast yesterday, the National Championship game, they showed a shot of a young lady in the stands. And it was brief, but it was definitely a close-up of her. And, you know, people even remarked on social media, why'd they show that woman? Now, people told me, I don't know, but that woman is a Bella Danger, who is a very, very well-known pornographic actress. She's a thespian, so to speak. And so the narrative that was on Twitter or X, I wonder if the director actually knew who that was. Really? Do you wonder? Of all the gorgeous women that are in the stands that went to Miami and all the gorgeous women that are in the stands that went to Indiana, usually when they show a woman during a game, they're just unbelievable, breathtakingly beautiful. Nothing against a Bella Danger, but she's a pretty girl, but she's not a girl that the director is just, the camera's going to find her without knowing who she is. My guess, and I could be wrong, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly who they were showing. Now, by the way, I believe she went to the University of Miami, so she's a big, big Hurricanes fan. But I do wonder, people watching the game, A, if they knew who that was, and B, if people in the world actually truly believe that the director didn't know who that was. Because if the director of the game didn't know who that was, I'd be stunned that they would put the camera on her. Again, pretty girl, but you could have found, models that are in the stands in South Beach watching it. Now, the stadium's not in South Beach, but you know what I mean. But just a little oddity from yesterday's game. I do wonder, a lot of people keep talking about this being one of the great victories, unknown victories, or unexpected victories in history of sports. I know that we are definitely prisoners of the moment, and the Indiana story is really an incredible story. But when people actually compare it to Miracle on Ice, that was unbelievable. Now, this is unbelievable, too, especially if you have a connection to Indiana and all the years where they weren't really competitive. But it's a tremendous story. It really is. College football needs it. I'm looking forward to seeing what the ratings are because it was a close game. So even if you didn't have a rooting interest either side, you might tune in at the end. And it was a last moment interception by Indiana that finally sealed it. And Curt Cignetti, who seems somewhat humorless, but boy, he could coach. That's a well-coached team. And Miami was a well-coached team. And for the most part, Michael Irvin, did not make a spectacle of himself on the side. I mentioned yesterday, everybody thinks it's funny, his histrionics on the sideline. I said, I'm a little concerned just because of his past history. And some people on social media said, oh, what an old man, get off my lawn sort of thing. No. It's actually a coherent human being that's worried about a guy who's had issues before. He's like so crazed over his team. Like when I go to Fordham basketball games, I look around and there are people that I see that, I used to see in school when I went to Fordham, in the early 80s, late 70s. And I'm amazed that those people are that into a team, 40 years later. I mean, I want Fordham to win, but I'm not that invested in it. But there are a lot of people that are invested in it. I just wonder what person is that so totally locked in to their alma mater. Again, I love Fordham. And Fordham's a lot of the reason why I've had the success that I've had. The education I got there, the connections that I made there, the friends that I made there. But I don't go crazy about Fordham. I go to a couple of games a year, meet my buddies that I went to school with, and that's pretty much a connection. But in terms of like cheering and going to every single game and going nuts, I do really wonder about it. Well, there's a story out there today by Jim Bowden, works for MLB Network, and also for The Athletic, that said that there are several offers that Cody Bellinger has, and the decision will come soon. And again, I'm just as fascinated as all of you to find out these offers and the length of these offers. Because for Scott Boras and Bellinger not to accept the 5-year, $160 million deal on the table from the Yankees, there has to be more, right? There just has to be more. So who's giving more than that? There's some rumors on social media that it could be the Blue Jays, that they might give him a 7-year, $210 million deal. And if they offer him that, I could see why the Blue Jays would offer him that, and here's why. Not only do you get an outfielder, which you probably need, because, Dalton Varsho and George Springer are in the final year of their contract. So they've got to fill outfield spots, not only this year, but for the future as well. And you do wonder, you make that signing if you're the Blue Jays, and they certainly have money to burn, it seems like. Not only do you strengthen your team, but you directly weaken the team that Vegas considers better than you. But is it worth it for them? They're over the tax threshold to essentially sign him to a 7-year, $420 million deal because they have 100% tax on them. 100% tax. So that's something to keep an eye on. That is something to keep an eye on. If it's any other team like the Mets, I think it's going to be a short-term deal. But at what cost? A high average annual value would be double because they're over the threshold of what they're offering him. So if they give him $40 million a year, which is what they gave essentially Bichette, that's an expenditure of $80 million. Cody's a really good player. Is he worth that to a team? Hopefully we will know sometime today. I think the decision, according to Bowden, is going to come down soon. What does soon mean? Some man's soon is another man's a week from now. Not quite sure, but we shall see. 1-800-919-3776. That's the number. We're waiting on Paul Feinbaum, who has joined us every Tuesday throughout the college football season, and he joins us right now here on the show. Paul, how you doing?
Michael, doing great. Just putting a bow on the college football season. I was watching Harbaugh's press conference from New York, so pretty exciting times.
All right, so let's put a bow on it right here on the show. Some people are saying it's one of the greatest stories in sports history. I think sometimes we're prisoners of the moment, but you've lived in the middle of college football for so long. Indiana winning this championship, How does that stack up with other sports stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think within the world of college football, it's probably the most unbelievable because of what we already know. They have the second worst winning percentage. I think in terms of sports history, I mean, this is a long debate. I mean, I think I mean, there's so many ways to go. Miracle on Ice, all the things that are in the record books. But I mean, I think it's in there. I'm not sure because college football may not resonate to the degree that the U.S. beating Russia in a hockey game in the Olympics, but I think it's up there, and because Michael, I covered the game, and people can call me whatever they want, but I just didn't see it. I saw Indiana in the playoffs last year. I thought they would be a nice team this year, but remember the number one team in the Big Ten when all this started was Penn State. They had the quarterback back. They had James Franklin. Ohio State was on the same level because of Jeremiah Smith and so many others. So it was hard to take Indiana. Michigan was coming back. It was hard to take Indiana seriously in its own league, let alone the country.
Can they keep this up? Is this a one-off? And does it give? Let me pull a school out of the air. Does it give a school like Rutgers hope that it could happen there in Piscataway?
Yes, it does. To me, what this has done, I mean, I think it could be done. I'm probably going to take the field because I think things like this just don't happen very often, even though Kurt Cignetti's probably, nobody's done a better job and nobody is a better coach. But it's hard to sustain. But what it does for a school like Rutgers or any other school, it gives them something to talk about. One thing coaches can't do anymore is they can't show up at the opening press conference and say, listen, I inherited a mess. You fired your coach. It's going to take me 3 to 4 years. Nobody's going to accept that anymore because this was done in 2 years. So coaches are going to get fired at a more rapid rate than they already are, which is hard to imagine in college football. But the pressure has ratcheted up. But the hope has also ratcheted up for everyone now.
See, I was going to bring that up since we're talking about Rutgers, about Schiano. You can't say, oh, I'm the little engine that could. Anything that we do, if we go 7-6, what a great year. Because now it's shown that you can do it. And you're right, Paul. If you don't do it, they're going to try to find their own Cignetti. Any team like that can't say, we have no chance in the Big Ten. If Indiana wins, everybody has a chance.
And, Michael, I actually covered many years ago a game Alabama played in New Jersey against Rutgers. So I've been to other Rutgers games in my career. Rutgers is a significantly better program overall than Indiana was until 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. There is no excuse. I like Schiano. This is the second go-around. Don't try to pull that one anymore because Kurt Cignetti is going to end up in your face.
So I said this at the beginning of the show, and you might totally disagree with me. I'm watching that game, and I see Fernando Mendoza. I go, he's a good player, but Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see greatness. I don't see, well, that's the number one pick in the draft. Am I off base here?
I don't think you are. What you saw with that team last night, and he's part of it, was how did they win the game? I mean, they did something you never see. They blocked a punt. Even though I did see one, I think, in the Panthers game about 2 weeks ago.
And they do that a lot, too.
Yeah, those are rarities, but that shows you a complete team. I'm like you, and I think Mendoza will at least go into the combine, the number one pick, but we're so quick to jump on that. I'm going to remind the audience, in August, when we first started talking, the first week of the college football season, the 2 picks to go 1 and 2 in the draft were Cade Klubnik of Clemson and Garrett Nussmeier of LSU. We get so caught up. These guys are individuals. They don't have a team around them when they're dealing in the draft. So I want to see what NFL people think about him alone without that entire team, which it was a perfect team. I mean, I've never seen a team like this. I mean, this is a movie script here, but I'm with you. I want to see Mendoza, what he looks like without the compliments of that particular team. He's a great story, but is he the number one pick? I'd like to see a lot more than what I've seen.
All right, so you watch Cignetti, and obviously the power of his will gets him to this point. But I'm wondering, Paul, if there's no NIL and he does things the way it was done in the past, could he have done this at Indiana, or is this a product of being able to bring in the players and pay them?
This is a product of two things. It's NIL, but the bigger aspect of this is the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. He had a team at James Madison, which was a good team, by the way, that nobody watched because nobody really cared. He moved his top 15, 20 players over with him, So he had the formation of a football team as opposed to a bunch of spoiled players making money for the first time. And that's really one of the problems in the sport, and he overcame that. But he could not have done it without the money of Mark Cuban. He couldn't have done it without the portal being wide open where you can literally do anything you want.
So on the ESPN pre-show shows that they had on many different levels, Bill Belichick was on, and he said that, it was hard to win this year because it was all, so many new players. He said it's going to be completely different next year. We know exactly what we have, what we need. Do you buy that?
It's a good line. I don't believe Bill Belichick knows what he's doing in college football. Even though he's got Mike Lombardi, he was just completely out to lunch last year. And I think, Michael, do I need to remind the audience what the Patriots have done once Belichick has left? Mm-hmm. It took a year or two. I think he's over the hill. That's not easy to say about a legendary coach, but I'm saying it because I believe it. I don't think he's going to do it.
So I hate when I read this, and I hate to put you in this situation because we don't even know what the teams are yet. Who would you look at as your top two teams in college football for next year?
Yeah, I would start with Texas, and for the most obvious reason, Arch Manning. We were all a little bit quick on Manning last year, but if you watch him at the end of the year, he was the best quarterback in college football. Mm-hmm. He's also picked up a number of outstanding wide receivers. Texas has just gone on a shopping spree. The second team is for the very same reason, quarterback and wide receiver, and that's Ohio State. To me, Ohio State's the most disappointing team in the country. They had the best roster. They had the best players, and somehow they just couldn't get it done. So I think that's where I would begin.
Paul, I got to tell you, this Tuesday spot with you has been one of my favorite parts of the week. I know you're crazy busy with your own show, and thank you for carving out this time with us throughout the college football season. It's meant the world to me. Thank you.
Michael, the pleasure's been mine. I can't wait to see you soon.
All right, be good. That is Paul Feinbaum. So Indiana is the national champion. Can you believe that? And also, Paul said something there that really jumps out at me. So every single college has to have that one ridiculously wealthy alum that's willing to give his money for nothing. Really, for nothing other than the glory of his school. And for Indiana, that's Mark Cuban. And for St. John's, that's Mike Rapoli. And every school has that sort of guy. Arkansas, what is it, the Walton family or whatever. That's why Calipari went there. And I asked this question innocently again. What's in it for them? I believe that Cuban went to Indiana for 2 years. And Cuban actually tells people, don't go to a big-time college for 4 years. You're wasting your money. He has come out and said, go to a community college that you don't have to pay. Go for 2 years. Get the credits. Transfer the credits to a big-time school. And then you only have to pay for 2 of the 4 years. But obviously, he's the one who came up with the idea of the radio, and that's what he sold for the billions of dollars at just the right time, and he did that while he was in Indiana, so he holds something dear to his heart about that. But are those the schools that are going to compete, that they find that one filthy rich alum that is willing to give up his millions to make his university have the glory of winning a championship? Because I listened to something that Troy Aikman said, that he gave a lot of money to UCLA for NIL, that they brought a player in for the money that Aikman gave, never a thank you, and then the guy left after 1 year. He said, I'm never going to do it again. And I do wonder, I don't know if we have any really generous billionaires that listen to the show, but if you are that guy, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Why did Cuban give all that money to the Indiana football team so they could be better? Again, he's not getting, there's no return of investment. Investing they call ROI. There's no return of investment other than the glory for your school. Nothing. You're not getting anything back, which is rare for billionaires. Because if they're going to part with money, they want to get money back. That's why every billionaire is always trying somehow, some way to avoid paying taxes, to find some loophole that they don't have to pay taxes on their untold wealth. Every one of them. But then you find a billionaire that gives money to his school, and there's no return, nothing. So even if Indiana University, because the football team made millions and millions of dollars, that money's not coming back to Mark Cuban. So whatever he gave, whether it's $20 million, I don't know what he gave, he gets zero return other than the ability to puff out his chest that his school has a national championship in football. It is, to me, it is out there for everyone to have a psychological study. Why is this so? Why do people do this? What's in it for them? Because I don't have it. I told you this story before. I was at a Fordham basketball game last year, and somebody that runs the NIL program walked up to me and said, we'd love to have you be involved in this. And I looked at him. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, we'd love you to donate, money to the NIL. And I said, no chance. And he said, why? I said, why? I said, I've got 2 kids that are going to go to college one day. I'll give it to them. I'll give that money to them so they can go to college. I'm not going to give it to you so some kid that doesn't even want a degree from Fordham, just wants to play here, is going to come here for that money. No chance. Don't ever ask me again. I will never be involved in NIL. My money is going to go to my kids so they can have a better life, not some kid I don't know, and so that Fordham could wave a flag that, they won 15 games this year. No way. No way. Maybe that's why Fordham, it has not been great in sports. Maybe there aren't the alum that are going to do that are just going to give money for nothing. Again, Charlie and Callie, I'm saving my money for them to go to college, not for some kid I don't know to go to college. Who doesn't even care is going to be there for 1 year, and if he has a really good year, he's going to go to a bigger school and get bigger money. Call me selfish. My kids are more important than kids I don't know, who have the wherewithal to get money from a school, but it's not going to be my money. Not going to be my money. I just wonder about people that give their money to NIL so the school could bring in kids that don't care about the school, just care about the money. 1-800-919-3776. Maybe you have an answer for me. We'll have more on the Bellinger situation as well as we continue on till 3 right here on ESPN New York.
Hey, hockey fans. Now with BetMGM, you can win a share of $10,000 in bonus bets when your anytime goal scorer nets 3. Enter BetMGM's Hat Trick Jackpot all season long for your chance to win some major bonus bets. It's easy. Just log in and opt into the promotion. Then make an anytime scorer bet on any hockey game of at least $10. If your player of choice scores 3 goals instead of just 1, you'll win your share of the $10K in bonus bets. There's nothing quite like watching a game with a hat trick, especially when it means you could win a share of $10,000 in bonus bets. Ready to shoot your shot? Download the app today. BetMGM. Make it legendary.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. New Jersey only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards or bonus bets that expire in 7 days.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
Health surprises can change your life in an instant. You've seen it happen to others, but it doesn't have to be your story. At Princeton Longevity Center, we customize actionable and proactive health plans to maximize your lifespan and take control of your health. Our Cancer Check program combines cutting-edge technology with top medical expertise to keep you ahead of potential risks. With advanced full-body imaging, genetic testing, and multi-cancer detection blood tests, we look for even the earliest signs of problems. Results are analyzed by expert physicians who craft a personalized plan to safeguard your future. You're not just a patient, you're a partner in your health journey, backed by a team committed to helping you live longer, healthier, and more vibrantly. Our programs have saved hundreds of lives and empowered countless others to take control of their health. Be proactive with your health for the ultimate peace of mind. Call 888-8000-PLC or visit PrincetonLongevityCenter.com.
This is Rick Brunson, the assistant coach from the New York Knicks. I'll be driving to our games this season in style in my new Jeep Gladiator from Princeton Jeep. My friends at Princeton Jeep gave me all-star treatment, and you can expect the same thing. Just mention I sent you, and they'll treat you like family. Princeton Jeep has tons of inventory and great deals on new vehicles. Visit Princeton Jeep at 1045 State Road in Princeton, New Jersey, or online at PrincetonJeeps.com and tell them Rick Brunson sent you.
This is Bart and Carlin on ESPN New York.
I don't know if Glenn's going to be here in a year or two.
Oh, my God.
We go all in on
We're already firing the coach 2 years down the road. I don't know if he's going to be here, so I'm not going to invest in him after 1 year as the coach. Come on.
I'm going to go over my list again for Chris for the third time.
I don't care. I know what your list is. There's great defensive players. You can't find a quarterback.
Bart Scott, Chris Carlin, weekdays at 10 a.m. on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-568-3344. 800-568-3344. 800-568-3344.
So when it comes to being an agent for a player, there's ego involved. Because the better that you do for your player, the better you look. And, Scott Boras looks great for the most part, most of the time. The deal that he was able to secure for Juan Soto was unbelievable. He pitted the Yankees against the Mets, got him a top-flight deal. Certainly not a deal that's heavily deferred, if deferred at all. That's real money that Soto got. The Dodgers got Ohtani completely different way, deferring $68 million of each year $70 million. So Boras looks good. Casey Close, who represented Kyle Tucker, looks terrific. You got the guy $60 million a year deal from the Dodgers. In present-day money, that's $57 million, even with the $10 million a year deferred. So there's ego involved. These agents want to show players that they're better than the other agents. It's been very, very clear and very, very reported that Boras wants a 7-year deal for Cody Bellinger. The best deal that you would think that's out there would be the Yankees 5 years, $160, which is $32 million a year for a player who has had his ups and downs. Now, fortunately for him, one of the biggest ups, other than his MVP season with the Dodgers, was last year with the Yankees. He was terrific. Terrific in the clubhouse, terrific on the field at any position they put him. He had a 5 WAR. He was, again, terrific. But how much do the Yankees have to pay for that terrific season? They put a number on it, $160 for 5 years. That's $32 million a year. None of it deferred, and opt-outs after the second and the third year. Eminently fair deal. Eminently fair deal. Is there something better out there? Or is Boras going to search for something that even looks better? Might not be what Bellinger wants, but he can, puff his chest out and say, look at this deal I got him. The Yankees said we didn't have anything, but we did. Is that deal going to be the Blue Jays at 7 years, $210? I don't know. Is it going to be a team like the Mets at a shorter term but higher average annual value? Again, I don't know. I don't know how this plays out until, in fact, it plays out. But everything you hear and everything you read is that the Yankee offer is the best offer. at this point, unless there's something out there that people are not hearing or not reporting, and Boris isn't leaking. But there has been no specificity to that other team. And Jim Bowden, former Yankee GM, former Reds GM, now works for The Athletic and for MLB, he has said that there are other offers and that a decision will come down shortly. I don't know what shortly is. I have no idea. So we'll wait and we'll see. I reported yesterday that the Yankees are waiting on Bellinger. But while they're waiting, Brian Cashman making phone calls, trying to line up deals. The worst case scenario for the Yankees would be if they lose Bellinger to the Blue Jays. Because if they lose Bellinger to the Blue Jays, and let's say that there isn't a deal made, and that they simply give Dominguez the lion's share of the at-bats, the Blue Jays then, let's all be honest with each other. They move ahead of the Yankees in terms of expectations. I think that Vegas is going to have to move them ahead of the Yankees as well. Right now, before even Bellinger accepts, the Yankees are the favorite to win the most games in the American League. They are the second favorite to win the World Series behind the Dodgers. I know Yankee fans don't want to hear that. I saw something on social media today that really made me laugh. They said all the Yankees care about is being good enough to compete for a World Series. And that was said derisively. Because the one thing that you can't do, no matter how much money you spend, you can't assure yourself that you're going to win the World Series. The Dodgers, with all the money they spend, with their, this year is going to be a $420 million payroll before tax, doesn't assure them of anything. They won 93 games last year. And they should have lost the World Series. A lot of could-haves, would-haves, and whatever. And the year before, they could have lost the best-of-5 series to the Padres, who are up 3-1, who are up 2 games in the series. 2-1. No, they had to win 1 game in the final 2. And that fourth game was a bullpen game by the Dodgers. That's a bad shape they were in. And the Padres didn't score a run in the last 2 games. That's how it's so up in the air. So whenever there's a heavy favorite to win games, everybody said at the beginning of last year that the Dodgers are going to break the record of the Mariners at 116 wins. They won 93. And they're saying the same thing again. But the Dodgers don't concentrate that much on the regular season. They held back their starting pitching last year. I think their starters at the beginning of the year ended up pitching 21% of the innings. And in the postseason, those well-rested starters pitched about 75% of the innings. So maybe they figured out the crapshoot. I don't know. But to look down your nose at, all they do is put together a team that's good enough to win a World Series, but they don't win it. There is no tried and true formula to make sure you're going to win it. There isn't. And another pushback I keep getting on social media when I say, they led the majors in runs. Yeah, but did they score runs against good teams? Well, now we're going to put different colors on different runs. All I know is that teams over 500, they were 500, the Yankees. Teams over 500, they beat them up. And that's really the formula. Play 500 against the better teams and beat up the bad teams. It's exactly what the Yankees did to win 94. Is it going to be tough if they don't get Bellinger? Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Some people think that I lie to you. Some people think that I'm lying to them. I speak what I feel is the truth, whether it's the truth that you believe or not. If they lose Bellinger, they better make another move. And that trade that Brian is working on, it better be something impressive to even get back to where you were last year. So this is an important decision. It really is. Best case scenario, you know what? If he goes to the Mets, so what? He goes to the Mets. The Yankees face him 6 times during the regular season, and if they face him in the playoffs, it's going to be in the World Series. If he goes to the Phillies, same deal. If he goes to the Dodgers, which I don't think he will, same deal. The one that would hurt is if he went to the Blue Jays. Because not only do they take him away from the Yankees, but they get him. And they probably move ahead of the Yankees in expectations. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Glenn in Connecticut. Glenn.
Hey, Michael. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it. What's up, man?
Yeah, I think the report came out yesterday that the Yankees were drawing a line in the sand at 5 years, 160.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was smart of them to disclose that information just because that could give other teams a little bit of leverage? Say the Blue Jays, we'll go 5 years, 180 or 170. I was a little confused why they came out with that info.
Well, that info, Glenn, was out even before that because that info was, I believe, was articulated to Boris. This is it. This is our offer, 5 years, 160. So I'm sure that, I'd heard that number before. Supposedly it was leaked out yesterday. That number's been out there. And the Yankees actually feel no one's going to bid more for Bellinger. So they don't care that the number's out there. And I think they want it out there also. We're not going to play games. We're not going to go back and forth. So if a team out there wants to give him 6 years at 192, the Yankees will say, thank you for your service. I believe that that's the case. I don't think they're playing a negotiating game. They have run the numbers, and this is what they feel is proper to give to Cody. Let's see if they're wrong. Let's see if there's another team out there. Let's see also how badly Cody wants to play here. You keep hearing Cody really liked his experience. I think he did. Had a great year, and Yankee Stadium is built for him. He might not be the same player in another ballpark. He wasn't the same player in Wrigley. So I don't think the Yankees care if somebody uses their number against them. If another team wants to give more, I think the Yankees say, okay, you got him. You got him. John in Bethlehem.
Hey, Michael. Hey, Happy New Year.
Same to you. What's up, John?
I have to. Do you have any insight at all, Michael, into what's any trade prospects?
I do not.
I know you mentioned that.
I really do not.
That's a pretty well kept secret then, and I'm a little surprised that Boris isn't leaking at least a little bit of information just to sweeten the pot a little bit.
Well, he is leaking it. He obviously somebody from that side leaked to Jim Bowden that they have other offers and that a decision will be made shortly. I'm sure that Boris is trying to move the Yankees off of 5 years, 160, because the Yankees think that that's the best offer that's out there, and they're not going to bid against themselves.
I also think that we may be also losing sight of the really incredible staff the Yanks are going to have within a month or two of the season starting. I mean, if you look at their prospective staff, they're probably gonna win more than 94 games with or without Bellinger.
Well, I mean, John, that certainly glass is half full. I think their staff is going to be the strength of their team, but you got to score runs and you got to prevent runs as well. So even though they have a great staff, if they're not able to score as many runs as they did last year, that's going to be a problem. I mean, you're taking 28 home runs and 29 home runs and 98 RBIs out. Is somebody going to make that up? Is somebody going to take a step forward to make some of that up? Is Ben Rice? Are his numbers going to increase? Are they going to be able to get more out of McMahon? What are they going to get out of the shortstop position? With a healthy Volpe, will he be a different player? You know what's funny about Volpe? Nobody could sit here and say that Volpe had a good year. Nobody. And anybody that does, they are putting lipstick on a pig, okay? But do you realize that Volpe, in many offensive categories, had better numbers than Tucker last year? And Tucker's he's on a different level as a hitter than Anthony. But it shows you how year to year, you can't really rely on anything. The numbers, home runs and RBIs, they weren't that much different. And everybody would agree that Anthony didn't have a good year. But when you go deeper and you go under the hood, Tucker still was a 138 OPS plus player, which means he's better than 38% of a replacement player. Volpe wasn't. Volpe was under 100. So that means he's less than a replacement player. But you can do anything you want with numbers. But I will tell you this, even with Callback and Rodon and Fried and a full year of Schlittler and Warren and Heel, and however they use Weathers, it's going to be interesting to see how they do it if they don't get back Bellinger, because you got to score runs. You can't win all games 2-1. It's too difficult to do that. Aaron in Clearwater. Aaron.
How are you today, Michael?
I'm good, Aaron. How you doing?
Actually, it's Alan, A-L-A-N.
I'm sorry,
that's
Alan.
All good.
My apologies.
That's all good. My question is, I'm watching Don Mattingly, a Yankee great. Last year, he helped the Blue Jays, tremendously. He helped their left-hand hitting. He turned Vlad Guerrero into almost a Gold Glove first baseman, and I'm wondering why, that's not happening for us. Instead of the Phillies now, I just think that, we could utilize his expertise. What do you think?
I wish I had an answer for you, Alan. I don't know why Don Mattingly's not with the Yankees. People from his side, reached out to people on the Yankee side last year. Wouldn't it be great if Donnie finished his career with the Yankees? And it, for whatever reason, doesn't work out. I have no idea why. I know why he's with the Phillies. His son's the GM. Preston's the GM. So I think he was ready to leave baseball if it wasn't a perfect situation, because he has a son who's 11 years old, Lewis. And he wanted to spend more time with Lewis. And Lewis just had such a kick being around the Blue Jays last year. He said, Dad, you got to get another job in baseball. I love being around the ballpark. That's why Donnie came back. And it's a perfect fit because Preston's the GM of the Phillies. But I've been asked this a lot, and I'm as honest with you people as I can be. I don't know why Mattingly's not with the Yankees. I don't know what the disconnect is. It doesn't make sense to me. He is beloved. Of all the Yankees that have rings and things like that, I'd put Mattingly on an equal level, even with a Derek Jeter, in terms of the way the fan base feels about him. He is absolutely adored, and he's not here. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. There must be a reason, right? He was here, and then he left with Joe to the Dodgers. Then he became the Dodger manager. Then he became the Marlins manager. And then he was with the Blue Jays. So I'm not. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't. I wish I was smarter. I'm not. We'll be back finishing up with more of your phone calls right here on the K Show, ESPN New York, and the ESPN New York YouTube channel.
St. John's goes for 5 in a row against Big East rival Seton Hall at MSG. Coverage begins tonight at 6:40 on 1050 ESPN and the ESPN New York app.
Show your team spirit and say big only at Security Dodge during the Start Something New sales event. For a limited time, score an extra $500 off on top of all rebates and new incentives, just for coming in and wearing your favorite team's jersey or swag. High school, college, or pro, football, basketball, hockey, and every sport in between. It's easy to win big at Security Dodge in Amityville. Visit us today or shop 24/7 at securitydodge.com.
FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the championship round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. More boosts means more ways to level up your playoff bets. You can pick the matchups you believe in, take your shot on an upset, or build a parlay that fits the moment. Whatever you like, bet it. Only on FanDuel. Then apply your profit boosts and go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs keep rolling. Each game day during the championship round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. So visit FanDuel.com/local and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Must be 21 and older and physically present in New York. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions do apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For over the gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467369.
Ox Spine at New York Presbyterian is always in pursuit of a better way to heal the spine. We're getting more people moving again with minimally invasive, non-surgical, and surgical treatments with innovative solutions for every back and spine condition and your unique needs. Expert spine care is available now across New York City and Westchester. Find a doctor at nyp.org/oxspine. Stay amazing. New York Presbyterian.
Looking for the best meat and seafood at unbeatable prices? Get to Wild Fork Foods. They offer the widest selection of meats and seafoods you'll find anywhere. Everything is blast frozen to lock in flavor and nutrients. From beef and poultry to seafood, pork, and even exotic and game meats, you'll get the best value for your buck. Visit one of their 7 locations across Long Island and New Jersey, or order online for same-day delivery at wildforkfoods.com. Wild Fork Foods, your neighborhood's meat and seafood market.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You live for this. The wins, the losses, the slam dunks, and the buzzer beaters. The dream that this is your team's year. Hope. It's what keeps you coming back. So you represent with anticipation and with pride. Because when everything's on the line, your support means everything. That's why the NBA Store is here to support you. Check out the largest selection of official NBA gear at NBAstore.com. A Fanatics experience.
Tuesday with Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg. What is wrong with the Knicks, and can it be solved with the roster they have?
I believe in everybody in that locker room. You know, you can ask them, but I feel they believe in each other too. You know, we're going through it. We got to figure out how to get out of it.
I mean, as a team, we know what we have to do. We do it, we care enough to do it, or we don't.
In reaction to John Harbaugh's introductory press conference, Don, Hahn, and Rosenberg today at 3 on ESPN New York and streaming live on YouTube.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. So tonight, they're going to reveal the new Hall of Fame class in baseball. And I'm just reading all of the stories of people that have made their selections and, you know, explaining their ballot. And the one thing that gets me is, like, there's a lot of support for Felix Hernandez now. And there's a lot of support for Dustin Pedroia. So there's support now amongst the writers for people that had shorter windows of greatness. And they're saying, well, the game has changed and those people should be celebrated. But what I would push back on is if you have a short period of greatness, the thing that makes you a Hall of Famer is that your greatness is extended. And it's there for the long haul. But now we're going to reward Felix Hernandez, who was essentially out of baseball when he's 32 years old. 33, I think, was his last year. And, you know, I was reading Ken Rosenthal on The Athletic, and he said, well, if the Mariners didn't push him to like 250 innings for 4 years in a row, well, somewhere Tom Seaver saying, well, hold my beer. I mean, what are we doing? You know, Wilbur Wood passed away the other day. He had a 4-year stretch, 20 wins a year, unbelievable, ERA about 3.15. Then he got hit with a comebacker, I think, by Ron LaFleur, fractured his knee, was never the same player. So does that make Wilbur Wood a Hall of Famer now? And one other thing, and this is an argument that I hate to make because it's one of my favorite people on the planet, and that's Andy Pettitte. So Andy Pettitte's getting a lot more traction when it comes to being a Hall of Famer. His percentage is much higher than it has been in past years. And they said, well, if you look at his numbers, they're almost identical to CeCe Sabathia. True. And, you know, he won 19 games in the postseason. True. Well, Andy would be in now if he didn't have the connection in the Mitchell report to PED use. But people are saying, well, you know, Andy only used the PEDs to get back on the field for his team. Okay, so now, you know, that's what Andy said. And I would believe anything that Andy said because, again, I've always said that if Charlie turns out to be like Andy Pettitte, the man that Andy Pettitte is, I'd be thrilled. But you can't pick and choose what PED user you're going to vote for. So there are some people that are supporting Andy, and that's great. I hope Andy gets in. He's a Hall of Fame person, and his numbers indicate he's a Hall of Fame player. But they have no use for Clemens, no use for Bonds, no use for Rodriguez, no use for Ramirez. So Andy's PED use is considered more altruistic than those guys. So here's what I'm saying. If you're going to let anybody in that has the connection to performance-enhancing drugs, then you should just select the people with the best numbers. Has there ever been a better hitter in baseball history than Barry Bonds? Has there ever been a better right-handed pitcher in baseball history than Roger Clemens? Has there been 5 or 6 better players in the history of the game than Alex Rodriguez? But those guys don't get your vote, and I think Andy's getting a vote because, you know what? Everybody loves Andy. Andy's a great guy. You want to hang out with Andy, you let Andy watch your kids. He's that guy. But he has not denied he did use PEDs. So now there's a new Rubicon to cross when you come to Hall of Fame voting. Even if you have a 5 or 6 year greatness and then after that nothing, we're going to give you the vote because it's harder now in baseball. And we're going to select Andy Pettitte for our vote because Andy Pettitte used it just to get on the field. Well, you could say that Barry Bonds used it just to be great, and that helped his team. Roger Clemens allegedly used it just to be great, helped his team. Alex Rodriguez used it to justify his contract, and that helps his team. So, I mean, now we're actually allowing ourselves to judge the morals and ethics of people that go against the rules. Well, he went against the rules for a better reason than that guy went against the rules for. Everybody who did PEDs did it so they could play better. Every single one. And if you play better, it helps your team, right? That's my only point in this. We can't pick and choose our outrage. I think it's ridiculous to do that. One other thing. Looks like Andrew Jones could get in. Please, everybody, when you get a chance, I know everybody's busy, take a look at Andrew Jones' last 10 years of his career. Do you know that I believe in his last 9 years of his career, his overall WAR in 9 years is 1.2, not a year, of the whole 9 years. His career dropped off a cliff. I know he's one of the greatest defensive center fielders of all time. I know he has 430-some-odd home runs. I get it. Take a look at the second half of his career. And I guess what I'm leading to is this. Why is Don Mattingly not in the Hall of Fame? Because for 6 years, he was one of the greatest players you'll ever see. Now, he fell off a cliff, not because of anything nefarious. He had a bad back that blew out. Wasn't the same player. So you're telling me if he was on the ballot now, he'd get in. Is that fair to him? Because all of a sudden, these writers have changed their pecking order of what they think is important. Unbelievable. Within our lifetime, it shouldn't change that much. Well, we've changed our opinion on this. Chase Utley looks like he's a better player than we thought. Well, then how about Willie Randolph? Why is he not in? Because if you're going to change your opinions to that extent, shouldn't everybody be thrown back into the pool and allowed to be voted on? Because now you've just completely changed the paradigm on what works and what doesn't. I am so looking forward to getting in the car and turning on Don Hahn and Rosenberg because I want to hear what Alan Hahn has to say about the way the Knicks played last night and have played for the last 11 games and have played, for the most part, since the NBA Cup. I want to hear a guy I respect what's going on with that team. I will be back again tomorrow at 1, as always. In the words of Billy Joel, life is a series of hellos and goodbyes. I'm afraid it's time for goodbye again. See everybody. Have a wonderful day. Don Hahn, Rosenberg next.
When a trophy is raised, it can feel like the season's over. But on the ESPN app, it never really is. Because with more than 47,000 live events, plus originals